Welcome to Seeing Dead People, the mystery storytelling podcast with a clairvoyant twist. We end every episode with Darcy answering a question from a listener about her psychic process. Can I ask you, before we leave, a listener's question?
Sure.
A few episodes ago, we were talking, I had asked you a listener's question about what investigative tools psychics use. We talked about, they use these infrared cameras and light meters and cold and hot meters and a lot of stuff I considered to be shtick, and you agreed. And I mentioned I was curious as to what you use, and pretty well you use your brain, which is remarkable. And why would you use anything else? Because you're so amazing. But one thing I did mention that was used by some, and you had said you'd use it yourself, was a Ouija board.
No, I never use Ouija board.
Okay. This is why I want to have this one as a question. We had a follow-up to that. And Chris wants to know, what is the scoop with Ouija boards, Darcy? You're right away, you had a bad reaction the last time, and this time you have a bad reaction. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Well, Ouija boards are known to be useful to some people, but I am a firm believer, and there's not a lot of things I do believe in, but with a Ouija board, I do believe that you have that opportunity to allow a negative entity to enter. And most of the times, and I realize other people would say, well, that could happen with anything, and yes, it could. But Ouija boards, I grew up with the understanding never to use them. And if you did use it, the only way to get rid of a Ouija board is to burn it.
Well, I mean, what's the big deal? They're just a board with letters on them, and that people stick their hands on top, and they're like a talking board. They call them a spirit board.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the wood. What the heck?
One, I didn't create it. Okay, I probably could create my own, and then I know the energy that went into it.
Okay.
Create it, so I don't know the energy that went into it during creation. Two, whenever I touch one, I actually physically feel ill.
Really?
And I'm talking the traditional Ouija board.
Yeah.
I've got a spirit board with cats on it. Okay, I haven't used it, but I have it. I mean, I could own it, but I wouldn't use it. And also as a kid, dabbled with it when I was a kid, a young teenager, and I saw things happen. And it's like, yeah, no way, never touching it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think it is that does that?
I don't know. If I base it on the way I was brought up, it's definitely a negative energy. I don't think any of my siblings would own a Ouija board, because that's what our grand taught us is these are not items. I use tea leaves, tarot cards, coffee ground, bones, ruins, stones and sticks, and everything. But I don't know why, but just the idea of owning a Ouija board scares the crap out of me.
Wow. Well, I was doing some research when I thought about the follow-up question, and I looked it up, and it seems this is what the research says, is that the people, whoever they are, who originally created the first Ouija board, they called it, I think, a talking board. And they asked the board what it was called. And the board came back with the word Ouija. Okay, very unusual word. Yeah. So they asked, what does that word mean? And the board spelled out good luck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's supposed to be a very positive thing, right? That the board means good luck. Obviously not.
I think it's the person. I think it's the person who uses it, because the Ouija board doesn't always look for the positive. Like when people use it, they're not always looking for positive answers.
Okay.
I don't know. I just know how I feel about them. So I stick by my guns on this one. Like, yeah, they scare me. And there's not much that scares me.
Wow.
Except spiders.
Well, can one person use a Ouija board, or they have to have more than one person?
theory is you need at least two, but yeah, one person can use it. Again, not advisable. But yeah, one person. I think you have to go into with the intent that what you're looking for is pure. And I know there will be other people out there that will say I'm full of crap, which is fine. Go ahead. I no problem with it. But I've seen negative things happen with the Ouija boards, so that's why I'll stay away from it.
Well, can you expand at all on the negative things? Are they literally things that happened that instant that you were touching the board, or happened afterwards? Or?
Well, both. That instant, pictures flew off the wall. A gray entity showed up.
Ooh.
The room went ice cold, and there were like 5 of us in there. So I wasn't the only one who experienced it.
Wow.
And this feeling of dread.
Were you, as a group, asking some terrible question?
I can't remember actually what, like, it was so scary. I can't remember what the purpose of it was for.
So do you think the idea that negative energy or a negative entity can come through, can it only come through if I'm asking for it, or by the fact that I'm actually using the board, I'm creating an opening no matter what? Is that the theory?
Yep, that's the theory, is that it comes through because you created an opening that allows both good and bad to come through.
Okay. I always just thought it was, you ask questions, it gives you answers, and it's kind of a fun, parlor game. But you do hear these negative comments about it, and to see your reaction is quite startling.
For some people, it probably is a great parlor game. No. I do the little, they call it something, the triangle. I've seen it on its own.
You've seen it move on its own?
Yeah.
Was it spelling something?
I had no idea. I left the room.
You left the room.
As soon as I moved,
wow. That's it. Really, I didn't realize that. Like, do you think 5 innocent,
we were all under the age of 12.
Okay, so obviously you were just innocent little kids fooling around, and yet something dangerous came through.
Yeah.
It's like a portal.
Basically, yes. And
how come the good things don't come through?
Well, I'm certain good things come through. I'm certain they do. Like, your loved ones can connect and everything. But I've only experienced the negative with it. That's why I stay away from it.
Well, that's really interesting. I am amazed that you are so adverse to that piece of wood. Really, it's just a piece of wood with this little triangle. But if you've seen a little triangle on its own moving about, I can see why you'd be adverse to having anything to do with it. Yeah. That's why I tried to pretend I didn't see anything in life for the longest time, until one day I decided, oh, well, stop running. Did the others in the room experience anything? Oh, everyone did. Everyone did. Screaming. Wow. Did you get into trouble for using it because you were told not to? Well, I wasn't in my house when we used it. So we were in someone else's house. So they got checked. Yeah, we did get into a little trouble because they wanted to know why we knocked all the pictures off the walls. Jeez. Did you, at that time, you're a youngster, you're 12. Did you have a sense with your burgeoning psychic abilities? Did you get a sense more, or did you just run like hell and didn't want to have anything to do with it? No, I closed my eyes and screamed over everyone else. That's a perfectly 12-year-old kind of reaction. I like it. Good for you. Okie doke. Well, thanks, Darcy. That was a very interesting discussion about the Mary Celeste. Man, I like your solution. And thanks for letting us know a little bit about the Ouija board. I've always been curious about it, but I will not have anything to do with them, guaranteed, in the future. Not that I think I did tootle around with them once as a teenager, same sort of thing. But I don't think we had anything bad happen, thank goodness. But I certainly won't go there now. Okay.
This has been a presentation of Radio Sydney.